Hey, Chris Jenkins at the NFL 2025 Combine, joined with my man Dan Morgan. I got to say this, Dan, this is our annual tradition here, right? This
It
is our
is.
second year
It
in a
is.
row.
Thanks for having me.
I didn't get to be on your same flight this year. I don't know. We got to talk to our people about that.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
How's everything been going for you so far?
It's going good, man. It's going good. It's exciting. Getting here, being able to talk to some of these draft prospects for the first time after watching them all fall. So it's actually nice to put, you see them in their uniform, you're watching them on tape. So it's actually nice to put a face, to a jersey number out there. So getting to know these guys is awesome. That's probably the best part of the combine.
Yeah. I got to get into this conversation I've had with many people about the best player available, right? And how you guys go about that, because the defensive side obviously has a lot of missing parts to it. But if you could walk me through the scenario and with the best player available, right? If the Carolina Panthers end up going on the offensive side, how might that take place internally that you come to that kind of need?
Yeah, I think obviously, like, if all things are even on the draft board, so once we set our draft board, if all things are even, we're always going to take the need. But, if a player at a position that isn't a need per se is ahead of, a need, a guy of need, then we'll take that best player. So that's kind of how we set our board and go about setting our board during the process.
So there's a little bit of a balance, just like with every decision that you're making, that you have that kind of exception in there for it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Is it advantageous for you guys, this is a good question for you, Dan, to trade back and get to more picks because of the needs that you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair question, and we'll definitely be open to all options. I don't foresee us trading up, but I think in terms of trading back, gathering more picks, and filling out the depth on our roster, I think that would be a smart move.
Okay. And just a minute ago, you were on the podium, right? And you were talking about the free agents that you guys have, and it seems like you're very open to letting these guys test the market and then come back to you if that's possible, instead of being aggressive with getting those guys.
Right.
What's the reasoning behind that kind of logic that you have?
Yeah, I think if a player's agent thinks a value of a player is worth a lot more than what we think, then obviously we're going to let that player go test the market. So we're always going to put a value on a player. If they think it's a lot more than that, then we have to let them test it. And maybe they come back to us, maybe they don't. But that's the gamble that we're going to take.
I feel like this is Dan Morgan establishing his NFL persona of how he deals with things, which is interesting and cool. Year one was last year with you as general manager. This is year two. So what are you looking to build upon in year two? How do you continue that plan? I'm sorry, in year two.
Yeah, I think you look at the way that we ended the season, the way that Bryce ended the season. It leaves a lot of optimism, to the future, and we're really excited. We know there's a lot of hard work ahead. But yeah, we took care of the offensive front last offseason. I think we'll do the same this offseason in terms of addressing the defensive front. So the defense, the players that are still in the defense, they know it wasn't good enough. I know it wasn't good enough. So we're going to address that and hopefully not see that again this year.
Now, as you address those dynamics, I'm interested in it. If you could, again, take me behind the scenes on the decision-making dynamics of things. Walk me through the process of, like, if you have a high priority position that you guys have determined, how do you and Brand kind of come to saying, okay, hey, Dan, there's this much money that we're going to give, or you saying, I really want this guy. How much money do you give me? How do you guys work through that dynamic with the priority and, of course, the cap space for that?
Yeah, so we only have so much, capital in terms of what we can spend in free agency, and then the same thing goes for the draft. So, Brant and I will get together. Obviously, we're going to talk about our needs with Coach Canales and then identify players that fit our defense. And that's collaborating with the coaches, collaborating with Coach Canales, and just figuring out, hey, what position do we need to make our defense or offense better next year? So I think a lot of it's just communicating, collaborating with the coaches, and then putting that work in and identifying guys on tape that fit our scheme, that fit our culture, that fit our play style. So it's a process, and then obviously me and Brant will sit together and we'll, kind of give a value on a guy. How much is this guy worth? Where does he slot in here on the APY chart? So yeah, it's a process. It's everybody has their role, and we all go attack our role.
We're just now starting to combine, but how far are you guys through some of that? Have you gotten through most of it?
Yeah, we're through a lot of it. in terms of like identifying the free agents that we want to get and, kind of putting a value on them. Yeah, we're pretty far down the road on that since free agency is right around the corner. As soon as we leave here, it'll be here before we know it. And then same thing with the draft board. Like, we're setting the draft board. The draft board's set. All the guys are up there, but, we'll make tweaks as we go along, as pro days come in, as we gather more information on these guys, then we'll adjust our board accordingly.
I'm trying to think of how I can ask you about any free agencies that you're excited about. I don't know if there are
free agents.
Yeah.
I can't disclose that because they're technically under contract for other teams, so I might get myself in trouble.
We don't want that. We don't want that. We're building on good things. A lot of players have been opting out. You're seeing that more and more at the combine with the drills. What's your take on that?
I think I opted out. Back in the day, it just wasn't known. Yeah, like I didn't run here. I didn't do anything here except the interviews. But that was back when University of Miami, we had 5-6 first-round picks a year. So
was that more led by you or your agent, or was it more led for you when you did it?
It was more player-led. So, we knew we had a bunch of prospects that were going to go high. So we all got together and we're like, hey, let's do our pro day down there. Let's run together. Let's train together. So none of us worked out here. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. From your perspective, there's been this culture shift that you wanted to have. Last year was talking about the dogs. Do you see that culture shift happening, and what do you think is attributing to that culture shift here in Carolina?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think with myself and Dave's leadership, and then the players that we bring in as well, the Thielens, the Daltons, the Robert Hunts, the Damian Lewises, like those type of guys, they're culture setters. They're guys that are going to, show guys what they have to do, how it has to be done. I think bringing those type of guys in the locker room, the players are going to lead the culture. The players are going to change the culture. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be Coach Canales per se. So we want that locker room to be player-led.
Okay. With that cap space, I don't think it's finalized yet, but I know it went up a lot, right? It's still a variant. They haven't finalized it yet, right?
No, they didn't finalize it yet. No.
But it's certainly looking to be a lot more than what it was previous years. When that happened, did that open up anything new for you and Brand, or is it still pretty much the same for you guys?
No, it's pretty much the same. It's still the same thing. And again, Brant does a really good job at the cap, and he understands the cap. He has a really good feel for that and a really good pulse for it. So, depending on him, knowing how much money we're going to have and, how to massage things, how to maneuver things, like he's really good at that. So we're lucky to have him.
Okay, and then wrapping up here, I know you got a lot to get into. What's the scenario in which here we are entering the offseason where Dan Morgan sitting back there saying, man, that was really sweet. We did this, and now I'm going to sit back and watch this thing grow.
I don't know that I'm ever going to feel that way. Like, I'm always going to feel like it's not good enough. That's just the personality that I always had when I was a player, ever since I've been a little kid, and then the personality I have now as a GM. So, like, we're always going to be continually looking to be better. We're never going to want to be the same on a year-to-year basis because every year is different. So we always have to adapt and adjust and grow and get better and have that type of growth mindset.
Okay. Well, I look forward to sitting back and saying, look what my man Dan did. Dan, thank you very much. He's Dan Morgan. I'm Chris Jenkins. Thank you guys for tuning in.